I'm Shanti. This is a broadcast from Inner Space in Romford, England, and I've got a lovely Andrew with me. And our little chit chat this afternoon has kind of made this video happen, really, because it's all about the what ifs that go on in life and how much they create basically a story of an imaginary story that most of the stories don't actually come true, but where we actually help people and try to make life easier for people, and sometimes get sucked in ourselves when there's no need to get sucked in so much. Possibly it's largely to do with the fact that we'll feel guilty if we don't help in the way that we're helping, and how sometimes the help that we give is actually trying to mend our own feelings or our own wounds, heal our own wounds, but use other people's, the aid that we give to other people in the form of support. And in actual fact, the feel-good factor doesn't feel the feel-good factor for very long if we feel like we're being used and abused, because there's a price to pay if we don't balance out having a big heart and a good heart, because you can actually burn yourself out and become a victim of our circumstances. So basically, the souls, when they actually start their journey, you basically got souls that are happy souls on earth, and there's no debris or garbage that they're carrying from their past. They're clean inside and out. And as we become more and more contaminated, we've still got the good heart, but it becomes quite selective that we want to help and want to support. And we have these feelings that need repairing, and basically we use other people to try to repair them. So we get connected to who we know rather than who we are, and who we are gets lost along the way because it becomes part of our identity. And you've also got the situations where a husband and family can actually be saying to you what you should do and what you shouldn't do, how you should give more support and more help because of that particular relationship that you're in. And it's not considering the whole three aspects of time, really, that there are souls of a different capacity. The older souls, the higher capacity souls, have a greater morality, and they will feel the pain of not helping someone, but then the souls that actually come much later on in the cycle of time have a lower level of morality. And so we pick up a lot of souls along the way who are family, friends, and they're obviously the ones that we knew at the very beginning of what we call a golden age have been split up, so they're spread out throughout the whole globe. And consequently, we create karmic accounts with other souls that come later, and we actually, some people will actually burn their lives out for them because of trying to help them. And we live in this world of what if. What if someone becomes homeless? What if they commit suicide? What if the worst things happen? Which I think everyone's actually living in at the present time, the world of what if. And the things that are in front of you. Many times our hands are tied and we can't actually do anything, but what if tells us that we should be. And the should be's then come in, don't they? So you get situations that make you, what if normally creates a very peaceless state. So I'm thinking, what if this happens to this person, and they might even be, trying to save them, trying to help them, trying to liberate them, and I'm charging the atmosphere with negativity and making it harder for them. So I might take action on helping them, sorting them out, and doing what's best for them in the world of my imaginary what ifs. Yeah. And then it doesn't end well because of their reactive ways, and they react in a negative way because of what I'm charging the atmosphere, because I'm attached to what could happen to them. Because when you get attached to someone, it's not just about them, but it's also about what could happen if.
Yes. Assuming, isn't it?
Yes.
Making the yes of you and me.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful saying, is it? Assume is making an ass of you and me. And so I think, worldwide this is going on at the moment, and some souls with a lesser morality will fight for money when the situation emerges, and yet we could have actually been brought up with those family members, and we actually see them in a very rose-coloured glasses that we wear, and we see them in that light, and then all of a sudden something comes up of a financial nature, and the worst comes out in them, and we've never seen that side of them before, and we actually saw them as deities, angels, and we actually lived in our childhood throughout a period of 20-25 years, maybe even longer, where we actually think that our bonds are so deep and we've been together for so many lives, but then the reality is telling you by their morality. The reality by their morality. And that just shows you how, where the soul actually is a soul that comes later and has not got that depth of morality. And now we've got to actually learn to be the detached observer and observe as a soul rather than a brother or a sister physically, or a son or a daughter. We've got to actually watch someone's decline, because you've proved time and time again that if they go down, they'll take you with them, because of, not because necessarily what they are, but because of what my what ifs are doing to myself by taking me in onto the Titanic with them. And the way to actually, when you actually do practice observing as a soul, then that makes you detached from your role as well, and makes you detached from all those emotions. And because I'm charging the atmosphere with that power, I'm actually bringing them out if they're meant to come out. That's where the if comes in. If they're meant to come out of it. Because it's not like you're sitting on your hands just watching their downfall. It's that you're actually considering what affects them more. Do my emotions affect them for the better or for the worse? Does the atmosphere that we call the household, the normal atmosphere, which is charged with, which is normally in that particular house, it's us. And in the other household, which is brother-in-law, sister-in-laws, and someone else's family, that's them, and how we try to keep us all together. But even then we still get separated by the them and us, because there's certain things come up on a personal level, and certain things that they're showing which aren't very spiritual and very moral, and that we kind of fight that to not come in the front door. And these breaking down of relationships happen purely because we don't actually know them by their morality. And that's how you know a soul, their capacity for when you were around at the beginning of time, and how high your morality is, and how as you go through the cycle from golden, silver, copper and iron, and souls come down onto the world stage to play their role with less morality, but they'll be seen to be powerful at that time because they're fully charged. Whereas although we're discharging, our morality is still remaining intact. Whereas a soul that comes later, when they discharge in the copper and the iron ages, and they discharge, their morality speaks volumes. So we go by that on whether how much help we should always give help, that's for sure. But the type of help, isn't it? That's the thing. What type of help will a person do? If they give financial help, they give all their mental energy, they give all their emotions, then all I do really is get into the same boat as they're in and actually cause myself mental problems. And when I've got a mental problem, then I'll blame them. You know, the very people I was trying to help.
The difference between sympathetic and being empathetic.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all the culprit is no one actually, but it's because the souls can't help their capacity. But the actual culprit is only one thing and one thing only, that I'm not reading fully the if. There's this two-letter word, isn't it? If. So we're probably entitled this video, "What If?"
Power of if.
Yeah, because it's it speaks volumes really. If what if this happens, then this will happen, and if that happens, then that could happen. Yeah, or definitely happen. In our world, it depends. It depends on whether we're very convicted towards that story line that the mind's creating, or whether we actually recognise it. Better to recognise it as its seed, the what if. Because there's nowhere else for it to go if it's kept, because you're only dealing with the moment, this present moment then, aren't you? And the ingredients you've got before you, but you're not adding any ingredients. So it is how it appears. It is just a chocolate cake. It's not a chocolate and banana cake if there's no bananas in it. I've put the bananas in. I wished, that's another one, isn't it? I wished I'd put the bananas in, but you didn't put the bananas in. And I remember having this discussion with one of my relatives that if I'd bought the oranges from this person, I would have, from this supermarket, I would have got the 2-for-1 deal, but I didn't. And the fact is I didn't. So the what if doesn't really exist, but it does in a person's mind, and they can live a life through the eyes of what if the coronavirus doesn't go away. Another one that came up was someone said that next year is going to be worse than this year. This is only setting us up. See what that does to so next year's just arrived. Already. Because that is the feeling. So it's obviously it's in the soul, isn't it? It's coming up from my archives.
That's it.
Yeah. So when I see someone fall over, the feeling of falling over is in my archive. Footprint. That's a great word. Yeah. Footprint, blueprint, all the prints.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're actually now recognising, because that's where the sorrow is coming from, a lack of recognition, and the lack of recognition is creating a wrong awareness. So I'm very aware that this family is going downhill fast, and we're not really aware because we've actually imagined the bananas and the grapes and the cherries and it's just a chocolate cake. That's all it is. That's all we put in there. Yeah. So you're seeing it for what it really is in this moment, and then you're recognising that other people are communicating in their mind of what if, and you can help them then. I mean, the saving grace, because no one actually wins in divorce courts. No one really wins, because if the solicitor had fought harder for this, then I would have got this as well. And if I'd had a better solicitor, then I would have had seen the children more often. It's all the paraphernalia, really, of the mind playing tricks on the self. And if you can recognise the what if, you can almost start to recognise it before it happens. If I have another night like this, like there's an alarm going off at the moment outside, I don't know if it'll be picked up on there, but if someone's trying to sleep through that, then very often they'll be thinking, if this goes on all night, and it might be a 3-minute alarm, so it's a chocolate cake, only has a 3-minute alarm going off and person comes down. But in the mind...
It's what we create out of it, isn't
yes,
it? Yes.
Yeah. It's expansive. And also it's the imagination, as in the reality, that it really is an alarm going off at the present time. But the what if is making my whole night in advance intolerable. So I'm creating more intolerance, even though the intolerance is being met with the alarm. Yes. So I'm actually increasing the intolerance of it. And I remember someone, and I don't agree with what they said, but because there's a right way of saying things and a not so tactful way of saying things, and a person said to another person, my husband's threatened to kill himself, to commit suicide, if I don't stop following this path. So I don't know what to do. And the person's response was, what's that got to do with you? And there's a nicer way to say it, really. It's a question of who you are is not who you know. So who you are is like you're dealing with your feelings of peacelessness. What you know about someone that's creating peacelessness is not who you are. That's what you know. So you're just separating the two things. So who I am is a peaceful being that's connecting to peacelessness because of who I know. So I'm recognising that the two things are going on in me. See, the alarm stopped, 3-minute alarm.
Yes.
So it didn't have to go on all night. But in my world it did. It's still going on. It's ringing, I can still hear it. So this is the rub, isn't it? The who I know is, but what if the person that I know is going downhill fast, and in my world they're already further than that? Then I bring myself back to a reality where I realise these two things. Who I know is separate. Who I am is separate to who I know. And those feelings are getting projected into that scenario. So I'm seeing that actually the ingredients that I'm putting into the situation will make the atmosphere charged with that negativity. And that will kill them off. I mean, that will finish them off. They're already struggling, and they already need empowering by something else, because it takes something external to create, to help something internal. So they can't help themselves, but I can if I create they used to say things like put white light around them, and that was it. They would, that's it. Next, like that. It's lovely, isn't it? But now it's no longer next. They put white light around them and they charge it with all this dark stuff. These clouds of waste and negativity, doubt is another word, yeah. How will they end up? Well, the way I feel is the way I feel that they'll end up. And that feeling is actually being projected. Absolutely. And then because I've created this dialogue of what ifs and this story that's going on. There's no space for solution to come. So sometimes, people's solution comes later rather than sooner. But people don't have the patience because they want those feelings removed now. And those feelings have been re-emerged now and strengthened now. So that's where the problem is. But I'm
Because you fight for them, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm thinking, how can a person live in that state? And they are. Some people go around other people's homes, don't they?
Yes.
And they say, I don't know how you can live like that. But what's going on in their mind is what they feel.
Yeah.
And that person's been living like that for 20, 25 years or so, since their wife died or their husband died. And for me to actually go around, I know that one woman a daughter went round to her mum's home to clear all her rubbish out. And that wasn't rubbish to her, it was security. So while she was taken out, she thought it'd be a nice surprise when she comes back. She cleaned the house, and it broke the relationship up, because all her hoarding that she was doing was giving her security, and the things that she was hoarding was her comfort blanket, really. So to another person, it was a dirty home. To her, it was home.
One man's treasure is another man's trash.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So consequently, this interference that goes on because of actually trying to change things in the wrong way, because anything that's not done in peace and it's done in disharmony within the self is going to have a bad result.
Definitely.
It's all the world of what if, the illusion that people live in. Any questions at all or anything to add?
Nothing. I think all is well. It's very informative.
Do you think we've covered as much as we can cover, or is there something else? Because I know that it was Daddy Janky that taught me years ago that she said, first of all, you get imagination. So that's the what if or if on its own. And then you get the confusion, and then you get the depression. So if you was to take that further nowadays, because there's a lot of mental illness going on, you could probably add that as the fourth. So man is his own liberator, or his own nemesis, really. And if he could actually see what he's doing to himself, because I notice people with, won't say not necessarily psychosis, but psychotic tendencies, are all living in a world of they're out to get me. And what if, the what if comes in, what if they are doing this? What if this is the control that's taking place? And well, in actual fact, I think they've gone past that level of what if. It's a real strong statement within them. They are. There's no what if. They are.
It's just our own flight of imagination, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with my Lockett mother, with my mum, she had a nurse come round, and she gave her a blood test, and from the next 2 days now, it's been 2 days now, she's been talking to me throughout the night. Not constantly, but throughout the night when she's been sitting on her bed talking about that they're coming to stick pins in me. They're coming to stick needles in me. And she said, I know you don't believe me, but it's true. I was there when it was happening because I was helping the nurse give the blood test. And luckily enough, I haven't been brought into that equation, but she's actually seeing as people coming to get her and the TV can be on, and she's actually thinking that there's people in the room coming to stick needles in her. It's a world of sadness and sorrow for a person that has this strong belief system.
They're living it, isn't it? Even though it's not happening.
It's not happening, but they're living it.
They're living it.
Yeah.
What an agony.
Yeah. And you the other situations you get things where people are free and they're walking around enjoying the sunshine, and then they do something wrong and they're imprisoned, and only then do they value all that they had.
Independence.
Yeah, and they say, I've lost my freedom. But when they were free, they didn't enjoy their freedom
No.
as much as they could and should.
Yeah.
So that's where we want the what ifs to work for us. Is what if I was to really appreciate every single thought
Experience.
can empower me and become an experience of peace, power, love and harmony. No thought should not be charged with that kind of power. What if I do that? And you could actually use the what if in a positive way.
How can one put full stop to all this ifs?
Yeah. Well, this all comes when you observe other people's roles. It's not really enough. It works to a degree, but it doesn't actually work when the power of the soul's doing it. Because when you actually observe other people's roles as a soul, the soul isn't anything but peace, isn't anything but light. So if the awareness is observing everything as light and as in being peace, people look for peace of mind, but they don't realise that I am peace as a soul. They look outside, yeah. So the mind is connecting to something that has to be kept peaceful, and when it's not, they don't have peace of mind. But the soul is peace itself. So when I'm actually viewing everything as a soul, I'm viewing in a state of peace and a state of light. So my awareness is one of peace and light. And then you find you observe the mind, which is connecting to the what if, because that's where people try to get peace of mind. So when it's peaceless, then they don't read it, because there is one level before that, which is the light of peace, and the peace itself that I am is actually doing the observation. So I'm even observing my own role as an Andrew, as a Mal, as this form as well, and how I'm actually removing myself from the equation, and you need something internal to connect, something external to connect something internal. So I'm out of the role, actually external to the role. Yeah. Otherwise, any criticism you have of me in a body conscious state, I'm not outside enough to be unaffected by it. So praise will uplift me, criticism will drop me. So I'm even getting to that point in a evolution of coming away from the what if, the role, to the soul, and the substance of the soul, which is peaceful light, embodiment of, waves of embodiment of peaceful light, which is the soul disconnected from the role, even while the role is being played, which is quite an amazing experience, really. Yeah, so that's how. I mean, otherwise you would actually be fighting a resistance of, I shouldn't be thinking that, and you can, because you're observing that. It's more that you didn't really have that thought. That thought happened to you. It's different, isn't it?
Yes.
My thoughts is Maya, my.
Yes. We have some sweet memories, some bitter memories. If there is a uncomfortable memory stored here, how can we delete that?
You can with love. You can cure it with love. Love for Baba increases the power of detachment, and anything that does come as a residue to finish will just be minor. But there will still be stuff that comes out, which you've also got to become more soul conscious with, because the stronger your soul consciousness becomes, the more rubbish comes out as well. So you're no longer creating a fear factor of the feeling.
Let it come out and let it go with His embrace on its way out.
Yes, Yeah, because your feelings of being you are stronger than the feelings that are coming out.
Yes.
So you're just strengthening your resolve
Yes.
rather than being confused by it, because confusion is always the way of
Create
disempowering.
more drama.
Yeah, it does. It does. There's nothing. If you know, when the most bitterest of feeling comes up of negativity, I remember a feeling I had. I was talking to a person that I've never seen anything negative in any way, shape, or form. Never shown signs of it. Then all of a sudden, I saw myself hitting him, and I thought, where did that come from? But it was just the good is going in, the bad has got to come out. And don't castigate yourself. Don't think you're getting worse.
Yes.
Or anything. Don't get confused by it. Just remain as you are, a sweet divine being
Light.
whose all the stuff's coming out. Yeah. I think we've done enough, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just do a short meditation
Let's do that.
and just connecting the self to the soul as a separate being to the physical, a pure being, pure energy. And as you connect to the purest energy of the self, light and peace is coming as waves of light towards you, through you, of you, and from you. It will push all the rubbish from inside to out, but you can see yourself in advance. There will be things of the outside world, whether they get worse, whether they get better, no longer concerns you. Being light, being peace, being the detached observer to my own role does concern me. I add weight to one side and remove the weight from the other side. Nothing of the world can have any impetus or momentum, because it's I, the peaceful, powerful being of light and might, that empowers it or disempowers it. I use my energies to reinvest in myself and charge the atmosphere with the power of light and might and best wishes, and that supports and helps every soul that I think of or comes into my company. Om Shanti.